Hello everybody. Welcome to our channel. I will share with you this week what I have learned about the Roman period in the Low Countries. Let's get started right away. The Roman era began in the Low Countries at the end of the Gallic Wars, that is when Caesar's troops exterminated the Eburones in 51 BC. The Eburones disappeared off the face of the earth. He did not do half a job. By the way, if you would like to learn more about this, I suggest you have a look at our video Ambiorix and the Gallic Wars. A link to this video appears at the top of your screen. In the aftermath of the Gallic Wars, there wasn't much happening in the southeast of the Netherlands. Punitive expeditions against the Eburones depopulated the area quite a bit, you would think. And Caesar went back to Rome. He was murdered there in 44 BC, and an uncertain period followed after his death. Peace was only found again when Emperor Augustus came into power in 31 BC. Clearly, Emperor Augustus understood that he needed peace, and that he needed to put in place an administrative structure, also for Gallia, the area south of the great rivers in the Netherlands and France. Having visited Gallia in 27 BC, he divided Gallia into three provinces: Gallia Lugdunensis, Gallia Aquitania, and Gallia Belgica. Following a second visit to Gallia, he established that the leaders of the provinces would meet yearly at the newly erected sanctuary of the Three Gauls in Lugdunensis. Lugdunensis is currently called Leon. Afterwards, Emperor Tiberius normalized the financing of the provinces, and Emperor Claudius began Romanicing Gallia in full. In 17 AD, Tiberius determined that the northern part of Gallia Belgica should not only be considered from the perspective of military control, but should also be administered. Thereafter, the areas just south of the Rhine were called Germania Inferior and Germania Superior. There was an early intention to extend the border even further north, beyond the Rhine, but after some unsuccessful expeditions, Claudius settled on the Rhine as the border. He decided this in 47 AD. The border was called the Limes. Nero became emperor in 54 AD, and things went quite well for him at first. In retrospect, this was a direct result of the fact that he left the work of administration to Seneca and Burrus. Nero himself was more interested in everything to do with the stardom associated with the office. Following the death of Burrus and the resignation of Seneca in 62 AD, things changed. When Nero decided to build his golden palace on the site of the Great Fire in 64 AD, the people of Rome completely turned against him. Also, the state treasury was plundered and the provinces had to raise taxes. The consequences of this were rebellions in the administrative hierarchy, for instance in Gallia. Eventually, Nero killed himself, and the battle for control of the empire began. The result was a year with four emperors, namely Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasianus. This had a significant impact on Germania Inferior, particularly since Vitellius was at the time a popular commander of the Roman army there. It were Vitellius' own soldiers who made him emperor. Germania Superior, Britannia, and Rutia. Rutia is currently a part of Austria. In the wake of Vitellius' march to Rome with most of his army to claim the throne, Julius Civilis, a Batavian leader, used the vacuum to revolt against the Roman occupation. At first they were very successful, but the rebellion ended in 70 AD. Julius Civilis and his men were defeated, and everything was brought back under Roman control. The following 200 years were relatively peaceful. The Romans built their castellums along the Rhine, the locals improved their agricultural techniques, and the people gradually became more Roman. After this, it all started to come to an end. An empire-wide crisis began with more and more foreign invasions and a rapid succession of rulers, leading to further economic and political weakness within the empire. In the middle of the 3rd century, the Franks did break through the limes, and even though Diocletian ended the crisis, he had to accept that the Franks had taken over what is today known as Brabant. Rome's control declined further throughout the 4th century, and in 405 all of its legions in the area were called back to Rome. A new era began for the region. So, with this, we've come to the end of this week's session. Hopefully, this helped you understand a bit more the history of the Romans in Belgium and the Netherlands. Now it's time for me to enjoy my New Year's Eve meal. In closing, I wish you all the best and good health for 2022. Cheers and see you next year.